when we break up with someone, we go through this withdrawal period where we crave so much love. And it's almost like you're coming off a drug. They are my beliefs, they are my actions, but they're mine to change. I have to take responsibility, and that's what I did. But at the end of the process, you go through a level of like awakening.
Hello and welcome to another podcast with me, Brett Moran. This is a podcast where we have conscious conversations over coconuts, of course. And today I've got a really special guest. Her name is Emma. And I literally just said, hey, Emma, how do you want me to introduce you? And she said, you can introduce me as Emma, the Heart Healer. And I thought that was so beautiful. But put another way, Emma is a relationship expert or coach. And I'm going to ask her some questions on how we can have more deep and meaningful relationships, not just with another partner or somebody else, but mainly with ourselves, with life, and yeah, obviously with another partner. So Emma, thank you so much for coming to the podcast. How you doing?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing really well.
Amazing.
Thank you.
I'm going to be straight up with you. Relationships, I think I could learn a lot about intimate relationships, but we won't get into that just yet. I'll ask you some questions about my styles of maybe attachment or avoidant.
Yeah.
But when you say Emma, the Heart Healer, what does that actually mean? How do you heal people's hearts?
Okay, so I'll start from the beginning. In a nutshell, I had my heart broken quite a lot for about 25 years, and I spent a lot of my time going through that process of getting over somebody. So I thought to myself, there's got to be a quicker way out of this and not wasting so much time in the horrible energy of grief. So I learned lots of different healing modalities, but it wasn't until I found rapid transformational therapy that I created my own unique method that I'm able to heal somebody's heart. Because heartache is just a metaphor really for an overload of stress in the body. So we basically treat, with the hypnotherapy that I do, I just go into a person's mind and find the root causes of what the heartache and how the heartache is making them feel, and just heal it on that level.
Nice.
And it's been a 7-year journey to try and find a cure. You can't say cure, but you know, to heal people in the quickest way, so they don't have to waste any time getting over somebody. Of course, there's a process you have to go through, but instead of like a year or 2 years, which sometimes it can take, especially if you're sensitive, I'm healing people within months.
Yeah. So would you say then, when you say like a healing heart, or heartache or heartbreak, but it also could be framed as in like it's the ego's attachment to a person or an experience,
Yes.
right? Because like I don't know whether you can break a heart.
Yes,
Do you know what
it's
I mean?
a metaphor,
It's
yes.
it's such a thing that a lot of people say. It's like, oh, I'm healing my heart, I'm breaking my heart. But it's like, love is love, right? Love is omnipresent. It's everywhere in all places at all times. But when it comes to these intimate relationships, then we feel this lack of love. But would that not also be like the ego's way of dealing with a separation or an attachment or letting go? I'm very curious to hear your answer.
Well, when we break up with someone, obviously it's different for everybody.
100%.
We go through a process of denial. So we convince ourselves that the relationship's going to get back together, even if it isn't. So we go through a process of denial and shock, anger, depression, all of these feelings. So it's an overload of stress in the body. So when somebody goes through a breakup, their body produces more hormones like epinephrine and cortisol, which flood the body with stress, and that's why we feel so depressed when we're breaking up with somebody. Also, at the same time, we've got attachment to the memories, and we have a vision of what the relationship could have been like.
Yeah.
And because that vision is no more with that person, it's like our whole system just goes into overload. Yeah, it's just like the illusion is shattered. There's so many aspects to it. So,
sorry, what do you mean the illusion is shattered?
Wow, you know, none of us know what's in the future. Yeah. So if somebody's envisioned their whole life with somebody, they have so many future visions on the horizon. And because it's not going to happen with that person, all those illusions are shattered. So, you know, the heart often wants something that might not be the right thing for them. And then the mind is like confused because all of a sudden that reality is gone. That envisioned future is no longer possible with that person. But I would always say, just because it's not going to happen with that person doesn't mean it's not going to happen with somebody else.
Yeah, 100%.
And we have to trust the process, because sometimes we don't know what's best for us, and the higher power, something up there, knows what's right for us. And it's just honouring that process, no matter how painful it is.
Yeah.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I mean, we're going to go deeper into it. I love this already. Yeah. She said the word illusion. I'm on it. I was thinking about my dad. I don't know if you know, a couple of years ago, kind of during COVID, my dad's wife, I hope he's okay with me sharing this, but she was on a motorbike and he was literally outside his house, and she went to turn left into the garden, into the driveway, and a car just literally knocked her off of her bike outside the house. And he came out of the house and he found his wife dead on the floor.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry to hear that.
No, it was heartbreaking. And I left here in Koh Phangan, travelled in a taxi all the way up to Isan, past Bangkok, and I literally made it on the day of the funeral, which, it was fascinating to me, because the way the Buddhists and Thai people have funerals is so different to the Western world, burning the body and going through all these different kind of ceremonies. And then obviously it was very sad watching my dad losing this beautiful woman that was such a lovely soul, But the reason why I'm sharing that, I actually forgot the reason why I was sharing it, but I'll come back to that in a minute, is because that's the reason why. I remember he said something to me when we was on the phone, because he was in pieces, bless him.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And he said something, he said something like, we were so close. He was buying land, he was building his house. He said we nearly had everything that we want. We had all these plans in the future. And I was like, Dad, but what about all of the moments you had in like the present moment? Mm. And because I'm so fascinated. It's got nothing to do with like him being my dad, or what fascinates me is like the ego and psychology of like humanity and our feelings. And I was like, isn't it funny that his mind, bless him, was so focused on the future that he wasn't going to have? Not funny, it's probably not the right word to say.
Yeah.
But like, it's fascinating that his mind was so attached to where they was going to be in the future that he had 20 years with her. And again, not saying it's like that's hardcore, finding your wife dead on the floor outside. It's like, it's traumatizing, bless him. My heart goes out to him.
Yeah.
But I'm just fascinated what you say. Like when we lose someone, maybe on the actual physical world, or we have a breakup with somebody, that then the mind is so attached to what it could have been or how it could have been. And I think that, or I should ask you, would you say that is what causes us the suffering sometimes, rather than the person sort of going, or bless her, passing away? It's our own kind of ego that kind of creates the pain. Yeah.
I mean, a breakup can feel like a death, even when the person's still around. Bereavement, on the other hand, it's a different thing. It's a whole different category of grief, because you wake up in the morning, you can't just pick up that phone and speak to that person. It's a massive thing for someone to go through. But looking at it from that angle, now you mentioned it, I think, just that vision of the future, but it must be absolute torture to find your partner like dead outside your house, and the shock of that is really intense. And to be honest, that's probably a little bit out of my skill set, because I'm a great believer that I can teach what I've overcome.
Totally.
And I can teach all the things that I'm experienced in. I've never, ever lost anybody through death who was really close to me. So I can't really comment honestly on that, because I haven't been through it, and I wouldn't be able to. But I mean, heartbreak, breaking up with someone can feel like a death. Sometimes it can feel worse, because that person's still out there and they still have that, not power is not the right word, but if we allow that person to have power over us. But when we break up with someone, we go through this withdrawal period where we crave so much love. And it's almost like you're coming off a drug. Because when we're in love, when we're in a relationship, there's a part of our brain that lights up under an MRI scan. They tested a group of people that was going through a breakup process, and the part of the brain that lit up when they were shown a picture of their loved one, it's the same part of the brain that lights up when you sniff a line of cocaine.
I wrote this in my first book, The Way
You did?
Up. Yeah, exactly that. I was talking about what love is and what love isn't, and it's chemically that 100%. Yeah. So basically, when we're breaking up with someone, it's like
we're coming off drugs, and we have to treat our ex-partner like an addictive substance.
So then, back to my original question.
Yeah.
Would you call that love? Because to me, that's more chemically based. Like love to me is like nature. Love is this conversation, and I know that's a bit woo-woo and maybe tantra, but love is like, again, it's in all places at all times. But it seems like when people get into intimate relationships, which I love, there's nothing wrong with those, obviously, then we have a lot of these chemicals which trigger off the same pathways neurologically as cocaine. But then, like, that to me is an addiction. Like love. What did I read by Yogi Nityananda? He said, like, love is giving, and then the lust is like the addiction, and we lust over this person, or we need to be it. So my question again, back to that question, like, is that actually love, or is it chemicals in the brain that we're going through? Doesn't mean to say you don't experience love with that person, because obviously you do, right? But the breakup is like, this is what I'm fascinated by, because I've got so many friends that have really struggled with this. Okay, so like when we're in a relationship and we're in love and everything's going well, we feel that love, that beautiful essence, that essence that just like fills up your chest, and you just feel like really happy. When that person leaves, or if you have to leave that person, you do go through this withdrawal. It doesn't mean that the love is not there, but it's masked by all the pain of the perceived loss of the person and what that person's going to lose, and like, how can I go to work every day when I'm feeling like this, and why have they done that to me, if I'd have done this, and if they wouldn't have said that, I wouldn't have done this, and they wouldn't have said that, and we wouldn't even be here. All these thoughts go around in our head. It drives us crazy. So it's so important to get out of these feelings as quick as possible, because once that grief is gone, the love comes back. It's almost like a double-edged sword. When it's I guess polarities, you know, if you're in love and you're connected, because we all need connection, when that connection's broke, especially after a few years, you're going to feel the loss. I think it's just natural. But it doesn't mean the love has gone either, because it's just been overridden by chemicals in the brain. But once you get over that person, I mean, when I think of my ex-partner, I have a lot of love for him now, where if you'd have asked me 3 years ago, I probably wouldn't have said that. So I think it's so important to release the emotions of grief after a breakup, because it's not just a blocker for you meeting somebody else and just moving on and being happy. It's actually a blocker for success in business as well. Life, right? And health as well. Like you say, if you have all these kind of like cortisol and all these kind of stress hormones going around in the body, like your body's in fight and flight, right? Exactly. And you're not going to eat right, you're not going to sleep right. I don't know. I think for me, what's important for me is this, like love doesn't go, like when you say like love doesn't go anywhere. Like love is there 24/7. Of course. It's just there 24/7. Well, we go somewhere. We come out of love because then I've met the one, and that's going to make me complete. And then 6 years later, oh, that's not the one. So then I'm in kind of this grieving, and then I meet somebody else that's going to kind of complete me. And it's like, actually, that love is there 24/7. We're just we're just kind of going, which is great. That's part of the human experience, which is wonderful. But I think it's like that love, like we've got to remember, it's always there. And then when you kind of meet someone, you share that with each other, right? Like, wow, we can share more. But going back to what you said about the ego, I think when it happens, because it's such a big shock, especially for the person who's being dumped, I hate that word, but the one that's being left. I know that for ages.
It's an English,
so English right?
term, isn't it?
That means when somebody has broken up with you.
Yes, when someone's broken up with you.
Brilliant. I love that.
It can be a shock, you know. I mean, for the person that's done the dumping, they might have had a few months to think about what they're going to do and muster up the courage to actually have that conversation. It's really hard to do, isn't it? But for the person that's being dumped...
The dumpy, is that right?
Yeah, the dumpy. The person being dumped, we've all been there, myself included. It's a bit of a shock. It's a shock. So the ego goes, what are they? I'm good enough, you know. I am good enough.
Or
it's them. It's their fault. So going back to what you said.
Insecurities, right? Like, why am I not good enough? Why don't they love me? Why don't they accept me? And
exactly. But it also stimulates that. I mean, a breakup can be seen as a gift. I mean, it's not a gift. When you're going through it, when it's first happening, it is not a gift. But at the end of the process, you go through a level of like awakening, and you start to go into like gratitude for life, because you felt this awful pain, say for the last couple of months, and then all of a sudden you're out of it and you just want to live your life again. But when we're going through a breakup, it stimulates old pain from the past. So old pain from childhood, from the last relationship, the relationship before. So it can be seen as like an emotional detox. So that pain is usually coupled with the present pain when we're going through a breakup. So that's what makes it feel worse. So it's almost like a detox. When we do inner work on it, when we're going through it, we can clear it all out. And then at the end of it, it's almost like you're a worm. Not a worm, that's not the right word. You're a bug. What's those little...
Caterpillar?
Caterpillar, right? You're a caterpillar. And when you're going through a breakup and you're going through that process, you're a caterpillar. But then when you get to the end of it, you fly. You break out of that chrysalis and you just take flight as something new. So
if anyone is listening at home and you are going through this, I'm definitely not denying or dismissing the pain that we go through, but I am definitely into this. Like, the quicker you go through it and you get into it and roll your sleeves up and look at it, the better your life is going to be, whether you're the dumpy or the dumper.
Exactly.
You know, there's definitely emotions. It would be naive to say that you don't have these feelings, but it would also be pretty naive to say that that's who you are, because they're impermanent, because there's always going to be another relationship and you're going to feel the same again when it happens, right? So there's something more like an essence or an intelligence, which is I would call love, which is more permanent. So if they are watching and they're listening to this, I would definitely say that what you just said is so beautiful, because when you're in that chrysalis, like the caterpillar, it doesn't know for like 2 or 3 weeks, depending on what caterpillar it is, that it's going to be a butterfly flying and smelling. Like, there's so many butterflies here in Thailand, and I'm like, they're just joyfully, they look like they're on cocaine. They're like, whoa, flying around, like so high on life. It's amazing. But it had to go through that transformation. For like 2 weeks in the dark cocoon, all alone, probably scared, didn't know it's going to have wings and fly. And I see that sometimes as people's transformation. It's like, it could be 2 weeks or it could be 2 bloody years, bless them, you know?
I know.
But after it, there is definitely a way out. I suppose the reason why I'm really passionate, and I'm getting a bit kind of deep and dark, but I never forget when I was young, there was a kid that I'd hanged around with, and his dad owned one of our local pubs. And we'd all be in the pub drinking, snorting coke, having a laugh. And then one day, literally, his dad found him, he hanged himself. Crazy. And I was like, and this kid was so happy and jolly, and we all got on it and we had a laugh, but just did not expect that at all. Especially imagine his father, And it turns out his girlfriend dumped him. So I'm not blaming his girlfriend at all or anything like that, but and that was at a young age. I was like, holy crap. Like this, if you don't get on top of this and these things take over, emotions and feelings, it led him to do something, because he just couldn't cope with that pain and that heartache or the illusion that got shattered, that he took his own life. And so it really made me question relationships and what this was. But he was that caterpillar, bless him, in that cocoon, and he just didn't know that he was going to get out and fly. And they actually say that you can't take the caterpillar out of that cocoon and help it fly, because it needs to have some sort of liquid that goes around the wings. And if you take it out too quickly, then the caterpillar dies. It can't actually become a butterfly, which is fascinating. And so many people are in these kind of caterpillars or these cocoons. If they just hold on, if they just got through that pain, or saw someone like you, spoke about it, or, you know, reached out to a friend, and then they just held on for that next bit, maybe they wouldn't take their own lives, you know? Guys, I know you're enjoying the video, but I've got a quick question for you. Are you okay with that monkey mind being a monkey? We've all got this voice inside the head, or voices filled with self-doubt, criticism, judgment. But most people don't understand how important it is to master that monkey mind. So look, if you've got a monkey mind or a voice that is just busy inside your head and it never seems to shut up, I know exactly how you feel. And thankfully, I found meditation about 20 years ago. And so, I have an amazing opportunity for you. It's the Bodhi Meditation Teacher Training Program. This 10-week program is designed to share with you 8 Bodhi meditations. And the amazing thing about these meditations is that they are scientifically proven to help you reduce stress, reduce anxiety, uplift your mood, boost your energy. In other words, create that kind of lifestyle, that energy and that health and that happiness that most people crave. over the course of 10 weeks, I'm going to be your meditation coach. And at the end of this course, you're going to become a certified Bodhi meditation teacher. That means that you can coach people one-to-one, you can work from anywhere in the world, build online courses, or even teach meditation at yoga retreats or anywhere you decide. So click that link below and together we'll open up your heart so that you wake up feeling positive and literally this buzz for life. The link is below. Now you can get back to your video. Have an amazing day.
This is one of the reasons I'm so passionate about helping people going through heartbreak, because it is kind of misunderstood in society as well. I mean, when I was going through my many breakups that I had, a lot of people would just say, get over it, just move on, stop looking at their Facebook. But it's like you get so obsessed with like what you've lost. And then sometimes we're told like just to get over someone, you've got to get under someone. I mean, that is not the cure. That is not the cure.
Heard that one,
right?
but I'm taking notes. No. So you mean going into like another relationship?
Like straight away. As soon as they split up with
avoid.
somebody, like as soon as someone splits up with someone, the pain can be so great that they want to go on Tinder or Bumble or whatever just to like replace that person. But what can happen if you get into a relationship too soon and you think you're over it? Your wounds are still very, very thin, so you can be triggered by the next person quite easily. So what seems to be like a quick fix, let's just go out and meet somebody else, it'll mask the pain, it really doesn't, because you end up, it does, it stops your growth. And it's like a heartbreak, it's a time for growth and transformation. And I wish I knew this when I was younger.
Only if you can look at it that way, right? If you don't look at it, you're in it.
Yeah.
And we can have this conversation now, being on the outside, but if someone's listening to this and they're really in that,
it's awful.
It's that you're really in it, right? Even though it's an illusion, it's a story, and I've got my idea of what love is.
It's happening.
It's happening to that person. So then what would you say to that person that's in that pain and it's completely alien to them? It's maybe their first breakup, or they are obsessive and checking everything, and they just feel so lost. What would you say to that person? What's a tip from your toolbox? Okay, so if someone's, say, an entrepreneur, say like yourself, you have to turn up at work, you have to do your videos, you have to, I would say, keep your routine as much as possible. Nice.
But in the morning, just give yourself extra time, like set an alarm clock, say half an hour before you have to go anywhere, or half an hour before you even get out of bed, because these are the hardest times when you're going for a breakup, as you probably know. You just lay in bed, you haven't got that motivation. Also, the serotonin levels in the brain are very low in the morning as well. So when we're going through a breakup, it can be really hard to get out of bed. So I would recommend just sitting with the feeling, or laying with the feeling, and going into the feeling and embracing it and allowing yourself just to feel it. Because a lot of the time we push things down, especially if we've got a busy day ahead. But just to allow yourself to feel it, and just to know that it's going to pass. Keep a video diary. Right, a video diary is a great
diary.
Yeah,
I've
it's
always
a
heard people
great
say do
way.
a journal, but never a video diary.
I guess because that's how I've handled it in the past.
Okay.
I mean, some people like to journal. Some people like to just like leave little voice notes on their phone. So you can leave like voice notes on your phone, journal, but a video diary is great because you're actually looking at yourself, you're getting it reflected back, and you feel like there's somebody there listening. It's really good. But just
and just sort of staying on that, then you'd go back and watch those videos like later, or
just keep making them and put them in an album, and then look back once you're over it, because sometimes when we look back too soon, it can stimulate the feelings more. So sometimes some people just like leave them in that album and they never look at them again. But it's just very therapeutic.
And their partner finds them 6 years later. Don't look in the album. I've never heard that. I think that's such a great technique if someone's at home going through it.
I just think to recognise and honour your feelings like throughout the day as well, and cry when you want to cry, and don't get into a relationship too soon. It's not the cure, it's not the fix. But it's a time where, I mean, heartbreak stops us in our tracks. You know, it's one of the strongest emotions, like grief is one of the strongest emotions we can go through, and it can really stop us. Like we find it hard to get out of bed in the morning, we find it hard to focus at work. We have all of these emotions. We're feeling lonely. We can't sleep at night. It can be a nightmare. So I think it's very important to seek out from a therapist, because there's so many talented therapists out there, and there's an army of light that are just waiting to help people through their darkest times, to seek help, and that there's nothing wrong with seeking help, that we all need it at time to time.
Like that young kid that took his life, imagine he had somebody that he could talk to. I've always been pretty okay with opening up and asking for help, but I know for a lot of guys, and I'm sure girls as well, but I can only say from my experience and the people that I've spoken to. That said, now I live on Koh Phangan and I have very open, loving relationships with guys as well. But from where I come from, like that, speaking up about your feelings and a breakup is just not what you would do. You would either go down the pub, get on it, crack on, meet somebody else, But then wherever whatever relationship you go into, you're just taking your stuff with you, your baggage.
Exactly.
Right? I noticed that I was doing that. So for me, I actually did a 3-year celibacy. I took a vow with the monks in Bangkok, or near Bangkok, and I no relationships or sex with anyone for like 3 years. It was the best thing I ever did, because I really got to see me. I got to see how I objectified women. I got to see how I was kind of lonely. All of these things that I was doing, trying to get this external validation or a person, and I wasn't really treating people the right way. And it wasn't nice, don't get me wrong, because you get to look at yourself, but it was the best thing that I've ever done. And if I could only share that with other guys, we don't have to be these kind of, there's such a big thing about being a man and all this stuff. And I get it. If you want to go and pump your chest and go in the jungle and scream, I think that's amazing. But there is also another way. You can be in your essence. You can be loving. You can be softer. You can be pure. And I think it's so important for men to understand that they can open up in relationships, right? Or speak to somebody about their relationship, I should say.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, 50% of my clients are male.
I was just about to ask you that. Do you get a lot of men coming?
Yeah, men love hypnotherapy. They really love hypnotherapy.
So okay, imagine that young kid or somebody, they're going for a really bad relationship breakup, and they're just like, they reach out to you. What would you do? I know you just said have a video diary, which is great. Yeah. What would you do in a hypnotherapy session? Would you get them to look at their childhood? What?
Okay, so because I have,
you're not going to hypnotise me right now.
No.
Okay, if I turn into a chicken, I promise.
Under the eyes, around the eyes. You're under.
Why am I naked, Emma?
Why am I barking like a dog? So what would I say? Okay, so how the process works is that I regress people back to the original wounding of their heart. So we've all got original woundings, either from a dad, our mom, our first love.
So you're not saying it's in the relationship they're currently in, you're saying going back to the original root cause.
So that. Like when we break up with someone, we often, because the pain lives within us, the body keeps a score, I love that book. The pain stays within us if we don't exercise it, if we don't do inner work. So if you're breaking up with somebody, it's going to trigger some old pain from your past. Yeah. So what happens when I regress people back to the original wounding of the heart, it actually heals the original scar, and it has a ripple effect on all the rest of the has a ripple effect on all the other heartbreaks that's happened since the original wounding. So then we look at their relationship blueprint. So we've all got a relationship blueprint. So the blueprint is a story that we tell ourselves before, during, and after a relationship ends. So this story can look something like, oh, my love life is cursed. All the good ones are taken. I'm never going to find anyone because my dad didn't love me, so how am I going to expect other people to love me? Or whatever that story is for you, everybody's different. So we go back and we regress them back to their original blueprint story. And we basically change all the limiting beliefs within that blueprint around into more positive ones. So that's what happens in the session for a heartbreak session. But the brilliant thing about, and what I love about the work that I do, is I create a hypnosis recording for them. So when we've created space, after we've removed like the shadow, the trauma from their relationship past, we then have space, and we have their brains are making new neurotransmitters. So when we've got rid of that darkness, we fill the mind with light. So I give them a hypnosis recording that they listen to for 30 days or twice a day for 30 days. So this installs new beliefs, new feelings, new visions of the future. So this really helps, like in the morning and at night, which is like the hardest times when we're going through a breakup. So actually it's a pattern breaker. So first thing in the morning, we want to think about our ex. Like when we break up with someone, we want to think about our ex. What's he doing? What's she doing? I wonder if they're okay. I wonder if they still think about me, whatever that is. So this recording helps them break that state. So the mind learns. Yes. So the mind learns by repetition. So the more we listen to recordings with positive words and phrases, the quicker that pattern will break. And then the mind will start to think in new ways. So, it's phenomenal.
I've got two things that I want to ask you questions on. There's so much here. So, number one, the first thing is like, you know, we've got a blueprint for everything, right? Relationships, food, money, life. And like people, I don't think we realize so much that every action that we're taking or every decision and choice, not really so conscious. We're actually doing that based on our upbringings, our childhood. So we keep getting that person that kind of cheats on us or doesn't like love us, but actually we've got a belief that that's going to happen to us.
Exactly.
Or we don't make that money, even though we kind of want to make the money, because we've got a belief going against that kind of money. So I love what you said. If you go back to the original root cause of where it's all coming from, rewrite that blueprint, it's obvious that your future, like your now and your future, will change. You'll meet somebody different, because you're only ever going to meet somebody or achieve anything in life from the level of consciousness or awareness or vibration, or like you say, blueprint, right? So I love that. Go back to the original, change that, and then you're obviously going to change your external reality.
For sure. And as well, the mind loves what is familiar. So if we've had an abusive parent and we've grown up with that energy, we subconsciously attract the same what is familiar. So the mind loves what is familiar. So say for instance, if you've never experienced unconditional love in your life, maybe your parents didn't make you feel like you was lovable. If you met a partner and you haven't done the inner work, and that partner just showers you with gifts and is so nice to you and cooks for you and does all these wonderful things and just loves you when you're in a bad mood and everything, you might push that person away.
Sabotage.
Because because it's not familiar. And it's like, oh, what do they want? You might get into that. Like, oh, what do they want? What are they after? All of this stuff. So we have to change this as well. So sometimes when we meet someone and we say meet someone across the bar and we have this like vibe where we feel like we've known each other for years. Now this could be a soulmate connection, but it can also be a red flag, because it may just be because they feel so familiar. So after a while, right? Yeah. So after a while, when we get to know someone, if that person's consistent with this energy as we're getting to know them, then you're onto a winner. It's a soulmate connection. But if say they start to change, and I've been in these relationships before where the person starts to change and they're not the person I thought they were, and they've actually been just like an ex-partner or like my dad, and it's like, oh my God, I've been attracted.
You've repeated that pattern.
Yes, so it's so important to remove the pattern. So it's the belief, the feeling, and then the behaviour. And then we attract what we think we deserve as well. So there's so many layers.
Is so deep.
This is so deep.
Yeah, this is like, we're talking like if you've got that awareness. If you haven't got that awareness, you're watching this podcast trying to work. Like those conversations, that you can't even hear them. They're at a subconscious, hidden level. And then you're just acting and behaving and getting frustrated that you're repeating patterns. But I think, how would you say to somebody? For me, I would just say meditate to first hear what's going on. And you still might not hear it through meditation. But how would you, if they couldn't see a therapist, how would they actually start to hear their blueprint? Like, what would the steps be to see, oh my God, I've got this blueprint around relationships, for example?
Okay, so I would say they've just broke up with somebody. I would write down, say they felt rejected. I would just write down all of the things that I could have done better or they could have done better. Write down all their partner's characteristics, also their characteristics, and just to have a look to see what you could have done better or change, and just keep writing this stuff down, and you'll start, if you read back, you'll start to see a pattern. So like whatever that is, whatever it is for that person. So say, for instance, somebody broke up because maybe every Saturday they like to get drunk and stay up all night, and then they get into arguments or whatever, and then the next day the partner doesn't want to get out of bed, or it's best to write down their behaviour that day, how you reacted, and then just keep a diary of each day, and then look back and you can see the patterns that way.
Yeah.
But the best way to do it is with inner work. I think that's the only permanent way.
Yeah. I agree.
Really.
100%. For me, meditate, I always got everything I've changed in my life, or anyone I'm trying to help, or anyone wants my help. To me, it's always coming back to meditation. You have to sit with yourself for 5 or 10 minutes. And meditation isn't about closing your eyes and being all happy and fluffy. It's like, oh my God, there's a shadow and there's a darkness sometimes. And this is a pattern that I'm doing. Let me face it. Sometimes it's really hardcore.
Yeah.
I think I definitely had to do that in relationships. Yeah. Because
so meditation
just helped me create the awareness to see how I was acting. Because before I was just acting unconsciously.
Yeah.
And then when I meditate, it's like, actually, that's not really nice. I'm hurting someone's feelings, or I'm hurting a person. Actually, it doesn't make me feel good. And obviously I didn't change overnight. I still repeated it. But then because I had awareness, I would see myself feeling crappy about it, and then realize that actually I need to make that change, that behavior change.
And did you find after, say, a couple of weeks of meditation, you was having this awareness?
No, it's been like 20 years. I'm still trying to work it out. Yeah.
I'm actually thinking, just going back to your question, if somebody couldn't afford therapy, there is a lot of free stuff out there.
Oh, 100%.
There's like, I've got loads of free workshops that if ever anybody needed it. And plus, I try and help people in the best way I can. Like 10% of my time, I do give away free stuff as well. I think if someone's really in need and they really need somebody and they haven't got the money to pay, I might like offer them like all my free stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
I think you're right. I think you can literally, and again, you could even reach out to a friend and ask somebody, like that could even be the first step, right?
Yeah.
I think for me, meditation is more of, it's a way of life. Like I don't meditate just to get connected. It's just like, wow, this is mental. Yeah. And this is like confusing, the bodies and the emotions and the thoughts. And I think if you're not meditating in this day and age, then you are going to suffer, especially how fast the world is going, how crazy it is out there. If you are not mastering this inner self, or even understanding what's going on the inside, why you act, why you behave, why you're attracting, what your blueprint is, all of these things, then it's just inevitable that you're not going to live a very joyful life in years to come. Maybe now it's okay, but like, mental health and emotional health, and especially with men at the moment as well, the suicidal stuff, it's like it's just obvious. It's because the world is not really catered for us to go inside, don't you think?
Definitely. There's just not enough hours in the day. I mean, people are working so hard just to pay their electric bills now and like to put food on the table. So I guess the mind is such a powerful thing. Like I might have a day where I don't meditate and oh my God, I feel so much different. Like the mind is so powerful. I mean, it's constantly thinking. I mean, we have up to 80,000 thoughts a day. That is just unbelievable. And it's like, how can you monitor them if you're not meditating? I mean, meditation is an absolute lifesaver, and it's free. And I know I used to be like, I can't meditate, I just can't sit still long enough. But there's lots of different ways of meditating as well, like mantras and breathing, and that can really get you in the zone, can't it? I mean, you do a lot of that, don't you?
I like what you're saying as well, like meditating on those feelings of the heart, if you call it heartbreak, or like actually meditate on that, like, and maybe not even call it meditation, just sit with it. Just like feel what you've just said. When they write out that list and you see they could have did this or I could have done that, how does that make you feel? And let me just I feel bad, I could have done better. Or, oh no, I feel like I did my best, I'm proud of myself. Just really connect. I think we live in a bit of a world with a lack of emotional intelligence. And it's no one's fault.
No.
We just wasn't sat down as children, taught how to think. We wasn't taught how to feel. And now we're all trying to bloody work it out. We're taught how to kind of make money and be successful and do everything the system wants. But we're not really taught these very fundamental things of what it means to be a human, which is feeling, expressing and thinking. So I love the way that you're saying, go back to the blueprint, because that's where it starts. You know, if you're a parent listening and I've got a friend called Tony, who's on our podcast actually.
Yeah.
His parenting is amazing. And if his little child, he's 4 the other day, and if his little child is feeling something, they say, how does it feel? And I was like, and I watched and I'm like, wow, I never had that. Like, I'm not blaming my mum or dad enough. They're amazing.
I mean,
but that level of consciousness of just like, how does that make you feel?
Yeah.
And then what would you like to do about it? And he's like, well, we just see him as a being, not like we're going to tell him how to feel and be. And I was just like, I was so blown away by how
old are they?
The
parents.
Tony's a couple of years older than me. So like, you know, he's 21, 22. No. He's got to be about 40, 45, 46.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like I think a lot of our issues are stored in childhood. 100%. I think if you're like over 45, you know, but our mums and dads, they didn't have YouTube, did they? They didn't have the internet. Yeah. They didn't have the information how to be a good parent, how to deal with a child that screams all day. You know, there was none of that out there. So they was just living what they learned from their parents, and they was just doing their best. So I think it's really important. I think massively life-changing to forgive our parents because they did their best.
I don't even think there's anything to forgive them for because they've done nothing wrong. Right? Yeah. They only teach us what they can teach with their level of awareness or consciousness.
Exactly.
So they're just beautiful and they did the best that they could.
Yeah. I just remember a few years ago, I was constantly blaming my dad for everything. It's because of my dad. It's because of my dad. This is, you know, and as soon as I got away from that victim mentality, I realised that actually, yes, it did happen, but they are my beliefs, they are my actions, but they're mine to change. I have to take responsibility, and that's what I did.
There's a great quote. What is it? Like, everybody's going to be victimized, but then it's a choice to be a victim. I love it. Everyone. Maybe you've had some stuff. I've definitely had some stuff. The cameramans. We've all gone through something. Like society is going to victimize us, the parents or governments, whatever. But then it is a choice. Do we stay in that victimhood? Or do we kind of empower ourselves? And the only person that's really going to win or suffer out of that is you, right?
Exactly.
Like no one else is really kind of going through it.
Well,
I'm going off on a massive tangent.
Yeah.
I can talk to you for hours. So just coming back to what you do then. So and helping people. Like how on earth did you become Emma that's living here with this beautiful colour hair, by the way?
Oh, thank you. This is a complete accident.
Yeah, living in Thailand, barefoot, chilling out, and being a relationship approach expert, helping people really not only understand this process of a heartbreak. You know, how did you get to where you are now? Is it because you've been through this journey?
In a nutshell, or in a nutshell?
In a coconut.
In a coconut. Okay, so based on what happened to me in the past, in my childhood, and also all my disastrous relationships, you know, I was like, okay, there's got to be a solution. I'm the common denominator in all these relationships, right?
It's with me in the relationship.
It's me, and there's something to do with me. It's something so obvious, but something so completely out of my awareness. And as soon as I realised that, that's when I started to make a change. And I started to travel the world. I had a terrible breakup, and the pain of it lasted like 4 years. You know, it was awful. But what I didn't realise was that as soon as I got into the inner work, I didn't realise that I was masking a very unhappy self when I was younger, and I was actually partying, drinking, taking drugs like for years, just like masking it and just numbing it, soothing it, and I didn't even know because everybody was doing it, and I thought I'd be fine, and I was just having fun. And as soon as I got into inner work, those like that need of wanting to go out and party just got less and less and less and less, which was great. But it wasn't until 2017 when I did my first therapy training, I had an awakening through theta healing, and I was like, wow, I need to learn how to do this. So I did the whole curriculum. And then I studied NLP, I studied breathwork medicine with a lady called Daisy, and also just been into like psychology like all my life, really interested in it. And I thought to myself, I don't know what niche to choose. I had a business at home, but I wasn't enjoying the job. It was earning me money, but I just weren't getting any joy out of it at all. And I thought, I need to do this therapy work because I absolutely love it. I love to see transformations. I want to help people like it's helped me. So it wasn't until 2018 I thought I want to help people going through heartbreak. And then I started to study the effects of heartbreak on different people, and I put all of these modalities together to help people just ease the pain and get out of it quicker. But it wasn't until rapid transformational therapy that I just started to heal people in like 1 or 2 sessions.
Wow.
I was like, whoa, just by testing out different methods that I haven't been taught, that I was just intuitively guided to use based on what I'd experienced with my other healing modalities.
And
right?
from your actual experience of these disastrous relationships
Yeah.
in the past.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. Yeah, and the pain and just, it was like it's all meant to be for me.
I
It's
love
just-
that you've said that. Sorry, because I truly, everyone that we have on
Yeah.
this podcast, like it, and including myself, it feels like this is meant to be. So that's another message for people. When you're in that pain, it might not be easy to see where you could be in 5 or 10 years, but it's meant to be, right?
It's
and
meant
if you
to
can
be,
go
yeah.
through it, you might really come out the other side. Thanks so much for watching our videos and being part of the tribe. We're really here to raise consciousness, ignite your vibration, and help you master this monkey mind. And did you know that science has proven over and over again that one of the fastest ways to reprogram your mind is through positive affirmations and things like these Bodhi beads. They're a set of 108 mala beads that go round in a ring like this, and you practice positive affirmations to reprogram your brain. Science has also proven in a 30-day study that if you say the same affirmation and use a set of beads, then you can literally neurologically change the pathways in your brain. Now that means any of those limiting beliefs that you've got around money, around love, around health, you can change them if you repeat a certain affirmation that I am wealthy, I am loved, I am healthy. And that's why we've created a set of 8 powerful meditations where you do one meditation every day with me personally for 30 days. And you use your beads in your hand, and each time you use the affirmation, you roll your thumb and your finger around on these beads. These meditations are videoed, or you can download the MP3s, put them on your phone, and literally go to bed at night time rolling your Bodhi beads. These Bodhi beads are handmade with love in Thailand by a local family. We ship them free to anywhere in the world, and plus we donate 10% of all of our profits to an elephant sanctuary here in Thailand. So click the link below. Make sure you sign up right now because we're actually going to give you a 20% discount code. All you need to do is when you go to the checkout is type in I love Bodhi, and that will give you a 20% discount on your first purchase of Bodhi beads. Have an amazing day. Now you can get back to the video. See you soon.
Well, one of the things that keeps me going through the hard times through business, you know what it's like sometimes, is that all of like the 25 years, I think it was, of heartbreaking experiences, it's not been in vain, because now I've created a method that can help others. So that just makes me feel amazing. And I wanted to leave England because my work, my old job was there, and it was like it's like as soon as you decide to leave the matrix tries to pull you back in. So I was getting job offers left, right and centre, and I had to turn them all down. And I thought, and I love Thailand, I love Koh Phangan. It's been a dream of mine since 2017 to live here. The energy of the earth gives me the power and the vibration to be able to come up with all these wonderful ideas and to stay in that high vibration so I can help others, and just to have a lovely community, and just walking in the sea whenever you want if you're having a bad day, which is rare.
Yeah.
I mean, we get bad days here.
Well, you can
don't
still,
we?
you know, you
But
can still
doesn't
definitely
stick.
definitely have a bad day in Thailand.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
This is
for
back to
sure.
kind of what I was saying. I think it really is about self-mastery, because I've met people in Thailand, and I myself, I've had bad days
Yeah.
or bad moments. I don't want to say a day. I wouldn't never let it be a whole day.
Yeah.
Like a bad moment, because then I'd go skinny dip in the ocean and it's done. But yeah, you have those moments, and that's why I think this is the hell or this is the paradise. And I think this is why I love what you do. You help people go into these emotions, these traumas, and look at that, because I've met people in Thailand that, like, you look around, it's like, wow, you're living in bliss. But
Yeah.
because you're living in a prison or hell in your head, you can't see the bliss on the outside. And the opposite.
Exactly,
I woke
yeah.
up in a prison cell, in a grey, dingy cell. I was the happiest person I've ever met. Something just pierced. I was like, oh my God, this is a
Amazing.
miracle. So the outside environment, external reality sometimes isn't really the dominating factor of your joy or happiness or love. It's how you feel it or feel inside.
Yeah,
right?
it's the meanings you place on it.
Yeah,
and
well,
it's your
just where you're at, the
perception.
vibration.
And also, yeah, for
But it is better to live here, drink coconuts, and walk along the beach
Oh
barefoot,
yeah,
right?
it is. I highly recommend anyone to come and live here. And
Yeah.
it's cheaper to live as well, which
So
is great.
Before you came to Thailand and you did that and you travelled, because like again, I love trying to inspire people to maybe step outside of that matrix or that box and travel.
Yeah.
Like, was there any fear or doubt?
Oh God, yeah.
I love us.
Oh my God.
How did you get through it, though?
Okay, so I think the thing that gave me a kick up the bum was COVID, because I'd wanted to leave the matrix for a long time. And I kept thinking, next year, I'm definitely going to do it next year. And then COVID happened, and I was waking up every single day on my own in a house for 6 months, right? So I had all of this time. So I just packed up the house. I got the inside painted. I got everything tested. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to rent it out. But first, I'm going to go to Thailand, and I'm not going to rent it out just yet. I had loads of fear and doubt.
Yeah.
There was loads of stuff talking me out of going, yeah, but what about this and what about that? And it does drive you mad, but you just have to ignore it, totally ignore it. And also,
how do you ignore it?
You just got to say, well, I said to myself, if I stay here, I'm going to be unhappy. I need to leave because I want to be happy. And I just knew it was that time for me to go. And it's just something just said, go for it. Just go for it. There was I think people will find that point.
Yeah.
There's going to be a point where they just say, I can't take any more of this, I'm off. That's what it's like.
You took control of the conversations, the voice. You kind of just tuned into more of whatever you want to call it, your essence, your power, your inner strength, your goddess.
Yes.
Somehow you tuned into that voice and kind of went with that one rather than all the fear and doubt.
Yeah, and it helps to have friends in the country that you're moving to. It helps to have a friend, so you can say, hey, what's it like there now? What am I going to need? Is there such a thing? If you've got that friend that can just offer 5 minutes, 10 minutes a week just to give you some advice, that makes it a lot easier as well.
Yeah.
To know that you're going to that place and somebody's going to meet you at that jetty.
Yeah.
That just gives you more of a comforting feeling.
Yeah. And I suppose when you're at home, I don't know about you, I never really had it a lot, if I'm honest. I've just always been on my own little bubble. But I hear this a lot from clients or friends, that when you do go for your dream or think about it, there's a lot of people that will try and talk you out of it.
Oh God,
because really they're just sharing their fears or their worries, or maybe they love you and they want to make sure that you kind of need a friend that's sort of done it, or you need a friend that's going to inspire you, because you could talk to any friend.
Exactly.
No, don't be silly. Stay in your bubble.
Oh yeah, make sure the friend is actually at the destination that you're going to go to.
Kind of like this is why I would say, if anyone's listening, we'll share all your links below and you can mention it in a minute. But speak to somebody that's been doing this for, if I want to be a millionaire, I'm not going to ask a homeless person how to make money. If I want to have my heart open and be in such a relationship, I want to speak to somebody like you that can help that. We had Sammy, Sammy. She's a nutritionist lady, and she was basically talking about nutrition, and she would be somebody that I would listen to because she's been through years of her battle with eating disorders and coaching and all of these things. And I'm like, wow, I would want to listen to somebody that's been there and done it. And that's just me. That's just how I work. So if you're going to speak to a friend, make sure that they are where you want to be in 5 or 10 years,
Exactly, for sure.
Yeah.
I've worked with Sammy, by the way. She's brilliant at what she does. For the nutrition
stuff, right?
Yeah, she's amazing. Brilliant at what she does.
Yeah.
She really is. I think the way I was eating, she showed me that actually if I'd have carried on like this, I could have ended up with diabetes.
Wow.
That would have been the result if I'd have carried on with this food, what I was eating at certain times. And so now she's put me on this balanced way of eating. I guess some of the old habits from home, I'm finally letting go of the eating habits at home.
Yeah. She was talking about emotional eating as well. Would you say when you was having your breakups and the relationships, you was eating different foods?
I just weren't eating at all. It's the best diet in the world. No, it really is. The heartbreak diet is the best. Well, it's not the best diet in the world, but it's if you want to lose weight quick, if you want that, it's not a healthy way at all. And I don't recommend it.
Yeah.
But emotional eating is I don't really do that, to be honest. If I feel emotional, I just use EFT.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Yeah, if people want to feel better after a breakup, or if they want to just feel better, working through their fears of maybe moving abroad, I recommend going online, YouTube, and finding EFT practitioners that do videos. Amazing.
So for people that don't know, it's called emotional freedom technique, and you basically you tap acupuncture points on your body, and you say kind of affirmations, and it kind of changes the energy in the meridian systems. I practiced that for a long time.
It's fantastic.
That helped me release a lot of trauma, like stuff that I went through, you know. So I highly recommend EFT.
Yeah,
it's
brilliant.
Really, really good, right? And again, you can learn this stuff on YouTube. It's all free. Yeah,
you can. I mean, I was struggling with views on Instagram. I was a little bit disappointed because I was putting all these reels out there and I thought they were really good and they weren't getting any views. And I thought, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. The algorithm's against me. And then I did some tapping on it. And 3 days later, one of my reels went viral.
Wow.
Went to like 1.5 million views.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
So this stuff
works.
Yeah. When you see it in the physical, it does give you that extra feeling of belief in the product.
Yeah.
But sometimes when you're working on beliefs, because they're subconscious, you don't always notice it. So some people give up with EFT after a certain time because they don't see the immediate results like I did with Instagram. So that's what give me the incentive to keep doing it.
To keep going. One more question and then we'll get your details for everybody.
Okay.
You speak a lot about heartbreak or after a relationship.
Yes.
Do you help people find not a perfect relationship, but you know, people that are not having a heartbreak, but maybe they're just a bit lonely or they've been single for a few years and like, how do I get into? You're smiling. She's like, I can't wait to get because it's like, it's not all heartbreak.
No.
It's also like, because a relationship is so beautiful and joyful.
Yeah.
Do you coach or help people, have advice for people that want to really find that, I don't want to say soulmate or love, because a life partner. I'd like to say life partner.
Yeah, for sure. Where do I start? Okay, so when people come to me, they have like therapy for lots of different things. So if someone's an avoidant attachment style, I mean, that's a strong one to deal with, but we can help that person become secure. Also, if they're anxious, we can help them become secure, or vice versa. I help them improve their confidence and their self-esteem. So, like, confidence is so sexy, isn't it? You know, if you're confident, I don't give people strategies on how to date. I help them find that light within them so they become magnetic, you know. So I help people just remove the blocks that may be blocking them just from meeting somebody really, really nice, where if you was feeling like you've never had unconditional love before, you might push them away. Maybe you're not ready for that person until you remove those subconscious blocks, like I'm not enough, I don't deserve love, and all of this stuff is all rooted in childhood and also when we're at school. So just by working on these blocks, I get calls all the time that say, Emma, I've met someone. I've been single for 5 years and I've met someone. Oh my God, I'm still with him. And I get this all the time. So what started off as a bit of a gimmick, manifest your soulmate, in one of my workshops, a week later, a lady said, I've actually manifested my soulmate, and that made me think, this is the direction I need to work towards as well. So, yeah, just working on the blocks of what's...
Not get rid of them, but see what the blockages are and then remove them if you can.
I mean, it might just be a belief that there's nobody out there for me, or I'm not lovable, I'm never going to find love. And someone can have a belief from the age of 4 based on how a parent treated them.
Yeah.
And that belief
is created by perception, which could be wrong. It's just like an idea in my head. Like daddy doesn't give you a cuddle, or mum tells you to stop being naughty, but it doesn't mean that's your whole... But if you hold on to that perception as a child, which you wouldn't challenge that belief because you're a child.
Of course.
It stays with you for your whole life.
Whole life.
Oh no, I was just busy. Something was going on. It's like, no, I didn't mean I didn't love you.
Exactly.
Yeah. This to me is
it's
really...
the child brain, the subconscious. It's very much the child brain. So, and it's running the show. It's like 98% of our minds. So we have to upgrade the computer, because a lot of these beliefs are outdated, outmoded, and not true. And like you said, your parent was probably just busy. They had work to do. They didn't mean to leave you at home alone, because when I was a kid, it was considered normal to go to work and leave your child at home.
Yeah.
But a lot of people my age who I've worked with have internalized that as, I'm not good enough to stay around. There's something more important than me. That's a real big one for my age group.
They've really got to get to the bottom of what's running the underlying show.
Yeah, that's attracting everything to them.
Yeah.
That's how I feel anyway. I believe your beliefs are attracting. You attract what you believe, and you attract what you think you deserve, not consciously, subconsciously.
I think life is literally wrapping itself around your vibration. You know,
that's a lovely way of putting it.
Yeah, and it's literally, I'm believing I'm good, and then you're going to get goodness. I'm believing I'm bad, you're going to have a flat tire, you're going to fall over and break your leg, you know, or relationships or money, whatever it is. It's like you have to go in here and get that. Not saying it's easy. It's taken me 20 years to be able to say this. And at the beginning, I didn't know what was going on. I'm sure you've had a lot of ups and downs, just like everyone else.
Yeah.
But it's worth it, right?
Yeah.
It is so bloody worth it.
It's so worth it.
You can be free. I think, again, the point of this
freedom.
podcast is freedom. Mental freedom, emotional, financial, spiritual freedom. Like, our message is to really help people be free and say, there is another way. You don't have to be so trapped.
Yeah, and even when you're a therapist yourself, there's still work to do inside as well. I just know how, as I'm like expanding into my potential, I'm coming up to blocks and patterns, like old patterns for me to see. And as soon as I start to feel like there's something there and I can't push out, you know, that feeling is like a feeling of being stuck. I just work on the beliefs and I just keep updating the computer, because the mind is like a computer. And just like a computer, if you don't know how to work it, and you keep downloading stuff that it's not useful, it's going to slow that computer down. And if you don't know how to work a computer, you're going to be like, oh,
one finger
just
at a time.
like, yeah.
What's this computer? Thank you so much. It's been wonderful.
You for having
really
me.
Grateful. How can people find out more about you? Do you have some kind of, like you said, there's some free stuff online, or?
Yes, I have an Instagram account, Emma the Hart Healer.
Brilliant.
And also Facebook, Emma Rapid Transformational Therapy, or Emma the Hart Healer website. But I also have free workshops as well that I'm always putting out on my social media. So free workshops, like I just did one yesterday actually, how to date your most confident self and feel so good enough. Amazing. So I'll be sending that out soon.
Okay, perfect. We'll put links down in below. So thank you so much for your time,
Thank you, Brett. Thank you for having me. You too.
Hello viewers, thank you so much for watching this video. I'm hoping that you enjoyed it just as much as we enjoyed making it. We love this adventure we're on, we love growing this community, and we would love you to actually help us. So I've got a favor to ask you. Make sure that you subscribe below, and if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and turn that notification button on, because that actually helps us with the algorithm. In other words, it's going to help us reach more people and spread this ripple effect. And I really appreciate your time and energy for watching any video. So if you've got any comments or questions or queries, make sure you pop them in the box below. By subscribing, you're going to be one of the first people to know when we release new content. If you really want to take your journey and your growth to the next level, make sure you watch this next video and have an amazing day. Once again, thank you so much for your time and your energy. See you in the next video.